Okay. Hello, folks. I'm Vanshi Gupta, co-founder of Coders Evoke. Coders Evoke is a community for aspiring developers and programmers. Here, we encourage you to participate in different hackathons, provide you different opportunities. Do follow us and don't forget to join our community. The link will be shared in the chat box. Now, I welcome you all on today's webinar on how to get MLH Fellowship and LFX Mentorship. Hope you all are excited. Over to you, Samantha.
Thank you, Vanshika, for the great introduction. So, welcome all to the next another amazing event with our amazing speaker Faisal Ahmed, who is a LFX mentor, then MLH fellow and FOSSI fellow also. So, welcome Faisal. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Sanika. Thanks for asking.
Okay. So, I think without wasting a time, let's get started. So, can you give a small bit intro about yourself so that our folks will, get more about you?
Hey everyone, my name is Faisal and I am a final year student studying BTech in Computer Science Engineering in my final year right now. So I am an open source enthusiast and I guess I've been contributing for around 1.5 years through various programs such as FOSSI, MLH, and right now I completed LFX mentorship. So yeah, that's all about me. And I guess I like and also I love working with student-run communities and uh, there's amazing work being done by Sanika, Ayan, and Vanshika by inviting me, and it's great work that you all are doing for not just for students but also bringing awareness about these opportunities. So yeah, kudos to you as well. Yep.
Okay, that's great. So let's start the session. So first we'll cover about MLH Fellowship and then we'll go to LFX. Okay.
Awesome.
So the first question is what is MLH Fellowship exactly is?
Yeah, so MLH is basically a fellowship that is powered by GitHub. It's supposed to be an internship alternative. So it started, I guess, last year. So when I was doing my FOSSI fellowship, so that's when the first batch started. That is called batch 0. So that's when the pandemic first struck, and a lot of people lost their internship because of the pandemic. Many students. So that's when this program was originally, created for folks who lost their internship to have an internship alternative to contribute to open source projects. So that's how it started. And I guess over the last 1 year, it has evolved into different tracks. So right now we have, I think we have the Prep Fellowship, the open source track, and then we have software engineering. So in the open source track, you will be collaborating and collaborating with open source projects created by Amazon, Facebook, Adobe. So these are the projects that I know of. So I don't know which all projects are being added in the next cohort. So these are the ones I know. So you will be directly in contact with one of the maintainers of those projects, and that's basically what you do in the MLH Fellowship. And more importantly, in the MLH Fellowship, it's not like a one-to-one collaboration. You don't have a mentor and you're a mentee. So often there's a pod of 10 folks who have similar interests. So suppose you're someone who's interested in web development and a certain tech stack. So you'll be matched with 10 people who are probably having similar skill set or something similar, and you'll have a pod leader who's also the mentor for you. So firstly, you have a project mentor, and then you have pod leaders who will guide you if you have any problems. So yeah, that's exactly what MLH Fellowship is, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the application procedure for MLH Fellowship?
Yeah, so I think I actually get a lot of questions regarding the application process. So basically, firstly, you have to fill up the application form. And one of the things that I see most students, this is the part where most students sort of ignore it, because I know that a lot of students are excited about these programs and they just want to apply. So they immediately fill it up, and but this is probably the most crucial part. That is the application part. So firstly, you need to tell basically your availability, whether you're available for the given time, and those are all basic checks. And then the most important part in that is to submit your project. So you need to submit a project which is sort of solves a real world problem. It's open source and well documented. If it has CI/CD, then it is probably brownie points. That is, you get bonus points if you have CI/CD set up, or if it's deployed, that also has bonus points. So that's about the project. So again, project is just one part of the application part. The second part is why you want to be an MLH fellow. So this is another part where most students, they don't seem to think. So you need to sort of think and write these essays. So I think they have three essays. So one is, why do you want to be an MLH fellow, and what unique will you bring to the MLH community? And then is the third one is optional. So basically you need to stress on, it's almost like a statement of purpose. So like, if you're writing an essay why you want to be an MLH fellow, then it's the only insight the whoever is reviewing your application has on you. So that application essay is really important, so that the interviewer knows you and for what you are. And yeah, so again, that's the only way the interviewer can, not the interviewer, but the person who's reviewing your application can know you. And that's why these essays matter a lot. And yeah, and then I guess then once your application is reviewed and you're moved to the next process is the general interview. So in the general interview, you will be asked about your background or your experiences, and if you're available for the fellowship. And again, I think they'll ask you again why you want to be an MLH fellow, and if you're available to do the amount of work that is required by the during the MLH fellowship. And the last round will be the technical interview. One of the nice things about MLH that I really love is that the technical interview is not DSA or CS fundamentals. Basically, the project that you submitted, the questions will be related to that. So if you submit a project, then in the technical interview, the interviewer can randomly go through a file in your project and ask you, why have you done this? Or he can just ask you some generic question like, how does authentication work in your project? How did you set that up? So you'll get such questions related to your project, nothing out of your project. So that's the thing that I really love about MLS, that is the technical interview. And after the technical interview, then you just have to wait, because then you need to match with pods. So like I said before, you'll be matched with 10 folks who are probably similar interests or something like that. And once you get a pod, then you can say that you've been selected and you'll get that invitation to join the MLH Fellowship. So I think that sums up the entire application process, I guess. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. So, what is the duration of this program?
It depends on which track you choose. So open source is 12 weeks, and prep is 4 weeks. I'm not really sure about prep, if is it 4 weeks or more, because I was in the Explorer and Explorer was 12 weeks. So I think you need to work basically for 12 weeks, but not necessarily that you'll have to contribute or work for the entire 12 weeks. I guess 1 week will probably be a CTF week. The last week is supposed to be a CTF week where all the fellows will participate in a challenge called Capture the Flag. And then there's also the orientation week where there's not much done. And I think we had in the Explorer track, we had a retrospective week as well, where we contributed to projects of fellows other than us, other than the project that we were involved in. So we were encouraged to contribute to their projects. So in a sense, we'll probably have 10 weeks to contribute. And yeah, so that's the duration. So you can assume 12 weeks you would have to give, and 1 or 2 weeks will not be related, to the work you're doing. It will be related to some events. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are the prerequisites you think that one should have while applying for MLH Fellowship?
Yeah, I think this is something that I always see that most folks want to apply, but I'm not really sure, because the prerequisites aren't something that is specifically written that you need to have this, and you can get in. So it's not like that. So it's sort of like there is this saying. I think this I learned from Sri Karan. So he basically had told this once. So that so there is this thing that you need to going from 0 to 1 is really difficult. Going from 0 to 1 is really difficult, but going from 1 to 10 is really easy. So all what they're expecting you to be is that one. So I hope that makes sense for most of you. So basically, what I mean is that knowing basics and being able to have a project speaks volumes of you. And then the MLH fellowship will basically then mold you into reaching 1 to 10. So yeah, knowing basics and prerequisite in a sense, I think it's always nice to have JavaScript, I guess, because a lot of the projects are related to JavaScript, TypeScript, and Python. So these are basically the tracks, and knowing these languages and tech stack around it can definitely help you, I guess. But again, this is something that is not entirely true. So it could be like my opinion. You can take it like that. So yeah.
Okay. So the most favorite questions is what are the perks available after one become an MLH fellow? So what are the perks?
The perks are firstly, I think, in my it's very subjective. So I think when I was in the MLH fellowship, firstly you get a stipend. So anything that is an internship alternative where you're getting a stipend should be a perk for me, I guess, because that itself is a perk. And then I guess for me as a developer, I wasn't very confident with with the technologies that I had, or open source contribution. Even though I had worked with Fossey, I still wasn't very confident. So in this program, you contribute, I mean, you collaborate with 10 folks of your pod, and you also constantly network with fellows of different pods. Then you extremely build your confidence, because you're starting to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at by collaborating. And then you eventually know you'll be confident enough to contribute to almost any open source project. So I think that's how I guess I got into LFX as well. So I think that's not, we're not discussing it right now, but basically it gives you confidence, as a developer, that you can succeed in whatever you do. So I think that's biggest perk for me. And then I guess if you're from Prep Fellowship, I think you'll get a fast track. If suppose you attended Explorer Fellowship or Prep Fellowship, and then you apply for the open source track for the next cohort, then your applications will get fast tracked. And I guess lastly is that you network with fellows who are just amazing at whatever they do. So you'll have these fellows that these friends you make who are just as passionate as you, who want to get that internship, who want to get that mentorship, get into that program. So communicating with them will also make you aware of these opportunities that they are looking for, and you'll get to learn a lot from them as well. So yeah. And I think I missed out on one thing, is that during the fellowship, so every week there will be a presentation done by one of the fellows in your pod, and that presentation will be done, it will be about what that fellow likes. So when I was in the fellowship, I had a session where I spoke about GitHub Actions and how you can set up CI/CD. So these are just one of the things, you'll get to learn from other fellows, like what they like to do, and that really helps you out. I guess it really broadens your mind. So these are the perks. I think I've told them all. Yep.
So how was your overall journey and overall experiences while going through MLH fellowship, and after you cleared that MLH fellowship duration, and how was your throughout journey?
I think, like I said, we have 10 folks we collaborate with, and it's really fun when you have 10 folks who are in the same boat as you. As it becomes, we used to have regular pair programming sessions. We would work on projects. Things would break. We would, I think, sometimes things would break just a day before we had to give our demo, and these were really fun experiences. And for me, in these 12 weeks, I just had loads of fun. It wasn't stressful. One of the nice things is that after the 3 months, I didn't feel burnt out. I was more like, gearing up, what's next. So the entire MLH journey was for me amazing. And, like I never had an exposure of, being part of clubs in my college. So this was sort of my first interaction with having, so many folks interested in tech as well. So that's how my journey was. And I think During in my track, we used to build projects every 3 weeks. So that time, every 3 weeks, someone would pitch an idea, and these ideas would be like very different. So some would talk about blockchain, some would talk about, I guess I don't think I remember a lot. Someone spoke about creating a project in Golang. So there were a lot of amazing ideas. So the thing was that we as fellows, we actually don't know much about, like, if that there would be just one person who knows about blockchain, and the rest of us probably don't know much about blockchain. But if someone has pitched this idea, then we are really interested to start learning and contributing to that project. So we never, back down. If there's an interesting idea, then we are ready to learn and then contribute, or however it is possible to create that project. So it's really exciting to be in such a group, and I think it really motivates you as a student developer. So I think my journey, to sum it all up, journey was great. And after the fellowship, I guess I then just got more confident to write about myself, to write essays. So I think then I was able to easily, apply to LFX. I think I didn't know about LFX as well before. I knew about it from a fellow in my batch. I think it was Aditya, so he was a LIFT scholar, and I first got to know about LIFT scholarship, and then I got to know about LFX mentorship. So that's how I applied, and basically I showcased the projects I worked during the MLH Fellowship, and my mentor in LFX mentorship was really impressed by the projects I had done in the MLH Fellowship. So it's sort of like a cycle, I guess. So like it's a line from MLH to there. So I sometimes wonder that I wouldn't have been able to go there without the MLH Fellowship. So I think my journey has been great. Yep.
Okay, so I think we have one question in the chat. So Ayan, will you read out it?
Yeah, sure. There is one question by Sudarshan. If our college is a full time but we are confident that we can complete fellowship, would it be fine or do we have to present online whole day for fellowship?
Yeah, I think I attended the spring patch, so that's when I had my college going on, and I wasn't sure if my college will continue online or offline. So I think back in January things were sort of cooling down, and there was this thing that colleges might open. So I think I had the same question. So I think that should be fine, as long as you have your meetings properly timed out. So you don't really require a no objection certificate or something from your college. I think my college doesn't even know I've done this program. So as long as you can manage it and you can go ahead, so that you can give like 6 hours to 8 hours. I think 6 hours you can give daily along with your college work if there's a lot of college work. So I think you can do it along with your college, be it online or offline. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, one more question, that how many times can we apply for MLH? Like, is there any limit?
I don't think I've come across any limit. I guess I think you can apply as many times as you can, and I don't know if there's a limit on how many times you can be a fellow again as well. Like I don't know if there's a limit to it, so I'm actually not aware of it. So I think I've seen most fellows repeat, I guess, twice. So I think I'll keep it twice. That means you can be a part of the fellowship twice. But when it comes to applying, I think you can apply as long as you get selected. So I think you probably shouldn't give up applying to the MLH Fellowship program, because again, it's really nice to be a part of such a program, and be it prep as well, not just the open source track, but also the prep fellowship. So even if you get into that as well, it's an amazing opportunity. So don't stop applying.
I guess one more question is there in the chats. Is it Ayan?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Any advice before filling up application for pre-fellowship?
I think just spend some time, I guess, think about the essay questions. I've never really filled a pre-fellowship form, so I think it might be the same or different. But questions like why do you want to be an MLH fellow, or things like what unique you bring to the MLH fellowship. So these essay questions are really important. So take some time, think about points about yourself, why you want to do the MLH fellowship. I think most people often, if you just randomly ask them, why do you want to do the MLH fellowship, I don't think you'll get an instant answer, because it's not so simple. So having a really nice essay is really important. And I always say anyone who's applying to the MLH fellowship, focus more on the application part. Your general and technical interviews are probably going to be easier than the application part. I always feel, because in the application part, really you really have to think, and then also your English. So your English also needs to be good. So when I was applying my essays, I actually got them proofread by my sister. So she basically read the essay and everything, and she having my sister is someone who doesn't care, so she will blatantly criticize me. So I think she made fun of me for my essay because of the grammatical mistakes. So I think you should know what are your strengths. So I'm more of a technical person, so my essay writing isn't that good. So I seek help in writing that essay. So I think even you can do that, because there's nothing wrong with that, because you are still being honest about yourself. But the way you're presenting is that you're taking help with your grammar and everything else. So I think I would say that is write an essay, and if you feel that your grammar or your English is something that's not very good enough, then take help from, I had a sister, so you might not have the same privilege, I guess. So probably reach out to some content writers or someone who you feel knows better than you, and reach out to them and have them review your essay. So then they may tell you what's wrong and which sentences are probably not right and how you can improve it. So yeah, I think that's the advice I would like to give.
Okay, any interview tips you want to share?
I think interviews are MLH interviews, according to me, are the best interviews I've ever attended. Just be yourself, because the interviewer is not some HR person; it's just a fellow from a previous batch. So probably the interviews are usually from the 08th batch, from the first batch. So they are just students like you. So you don't have to focus on some formality or something. It's just I think the general interview is a really casual interview. You just have to talk about your application and why you want to be an MLH fellow in the general interview. And I think you need to really make sure that you have a good environment. These are some things a lot of people get rejected for, having something like a proper interview that in which there's no disturbance. You have good video, and video in the sense, good video in the sense, a normal laptop webcam is fine. And make sure that there's no background noise, in the sense like you don't have folks coming and disturbing you or something. So for that 10 minutes, there's no one, it's completely silent in your environment. So that's the tip I would give. And the technical interview, I don't think you need to freak out about the technical interview. I know I freak out a lot because most corporate internships, they ask the TSA questions, they ask for CS fundamentals. Here, it's all about your project. So if you worked on a project, over here, I think they'll get to know if you've worked on the project or not, because they're going to ask you questions, everything related to your project. Every single line you've ever written in the project, you need to make sure that you know why you've written and what it's doing. So always, I guess, remember your project. And yeah, I think these would be my tips, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so I think there are no more questions about MLH Fellowship. So let's get to the LFX. So what is LFX mentorship?
Yep. So LFX basically stands for Linux Foundation Mentorship. So under Linux Foundation, there are various organizations, various products, which are actually collaborated and contributed by various companies such as IBM, Cisco, and I think even CNCF projects are in the Linux Foundation mentorship. So basically, you'll get the opportunity to work on one of these projects for the 3 months. So that is 12 weeks. And at the end of the 12 weeks, you also have a stipend. So the stipend currently, as far as what I worked on, you get $3,000, which will be divided, like you'll be sent half during the half evaluation, 1,500, and once you complete it, you'll get $1,500. So I think these would classify as perks. So yeah, that's basically all about Linux Foundation, and the projects are a bit different than something like GSOC projects. The projects are a bit more they're a bit more difficult than something like a GSOC project to just get started and contribute. So here you really need to reach out to your mentors, who are the mentors for this project, the community, reach out to them and ask questions. So it's a bit more difficult than a normal project. So you need to be able to communicate with folks who are already contributing, or the mentors or the community, and then start contributing to these projects. So that's basically the Linux Foundation mentorship.
Okay, so again, how to apply for it?
Yep, I think there are three batches, majorly spring, summer, and fall. So right now the fall term just started. Yeah, I'm not sure if it started or not. So basically, there are three cohorts, just like MLH. So there are three batches. So once I think there is a specific time when all the projects are released for that cohort. So then you just need to select that project, and then you'll have a list of tasks. So that is, one is you need to submit your resume, and you need to submit your cover letter, and submit a letter from your college that you're authorized to attend for the next 3 months. So two things, your resume matters and your cover letter. So what is a cover letter? So basically you need to explain the cover letter will be sent to the mentor or mentors. So usually projects have more than one mentor, so it will be reviewed by them. So the cover letter would be about why do you want to do this mentorship, and what this project, like why specifically do you want to work on this project, and what previous experience do you have, which will basically make you capable. So it's sort of like, if you have any previous experiences that makes you think you can work on this project, so something like that. So when I applied, I worked, it was a pure systems related project, and I had never worked on a systems related project. So I basically, I was more of a web dev. So all the projects I worked on has been about web development. I've mostly worked on front end or back end, and a little bit of DevOps. So I basically wrote on my cover letter all my projects, and I basically told that I have a good experience working with open source projects, and I think lastly,
Hello, am I audible?
yep, you're audible. Yep.
My laptop got switched off due to heavy load.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
me.
yeah, that happens.
Just a minute, I'm configuring it. Till then, Ayan, you start streaming because I've joined from mobile now. You start streaming. My laptop got switched off due to heavy load.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
me.
yeah, that happens.
Just a minute, I'm configuring it. Till then, Ayan, you start streaming because I've joined from mobile now. You start streaming. My laptop got switched off due to heavy load.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
me.
yeah, that happens.
Just a minute, I'm configuring it. Till then, Ayan, you start streaming because I've joined from mobile now. You
Okay, so I don't remember where I was.
question was, what is the duration for this program?
Yep, the duration is 12 weeks, and it's very flexible. So you can delay the joining, and yeah, it's a bit flexible. So there is no set that these are the 12 weeks. So you can probably join 2 weeks late if you have any exams or something like that. So that's basically the duration of the entire mentorship.
Okay. So, what are the prerequisites you should think the one should have for applying LFX?
So the prerequisites would be, you need to be good with open source. Be able to do basic, uh, basically commits, and basically when I say basics of GitHub open source, so basically you need to be able to do commits. Uh, I think Ayan, I think it's echoing. I guess I can hear my own voice. Uh, Ayan, I hope that's fixed. So yeah, so basically the prerequisites would be like every project has a tech stack. So it would be already written that you need to have a certain. So suppose there is a project that requires Go, Python, Rust. So then you just need to know these languages, and you should be comfortable to write code in these languages. So that's the prerequisites. And just general, you should be familiar with how open source projects work. That is how we have branches, how we do commits, how we make PRs, and how code reviews are done. So knowing that also helps. So yeah, that's basically all the prerequisites.
Okay. So, what are your overall experience of LFX mentorship?
Yeah, so the LFX mentorship is a bit different than the MLH. So in MLH, I had 10 folks, with whom I would contribute. We would have pair programming, and if we ever run into any problems, then we would talk, have fun, find a problem to it. But here in LFX, it was a one-to-one mentorship. So I would have a weekly set of goals defined by me, and I would tell my mentor that I would do this week, and at the end of the week we would have a meeting and we would discuss if we were able to do that, and if I have any problems. So it was a one-to-one mentorship. So most of the time it was just me debugging or understanding parts of the code. So yeah, so I think at times I really miss the MLH fellowship because over there I had like 10 other, 9 other folks with whom, I could talk if there was some problem, and we would just, get into pair programming. But here it was just me and my mentor. So over here, if I had any problems, then I would contact my mentor and he would guide me. So I think, yeah, so that's the journey that I had in LFX. So it was a one-to-one mentorship, and I guess I got to learn a lot about systems programming and how how Rust is really good in systems programming, and I got to learn a lot more about the Rust language. And the project that I worked on was actually a product of Cisco, so which was open source in 2016. So in a way, I also got to work on a product created by Cisco. So yeah, that sort of experience for anyone who's a student developer is pretty huge. Working on these projects. So yeah, that's my journey, and at the end of it, I also got a stipend, which sort of helps with whatever needs I have. So yeah, that's basically how my journey has been in the LFX mentorship.
Okay. So, what do you think as a beginner, which program should be more preferable?
As a beginner, I would prefer Fossil because it's not very different, because you don't really have to do a lot of things. Like, you don't need to write an essay or anything. So that's one thing that's Fossil, is that you just need to know some of the web frameworks, that is Angular, React, or Django, or a little bit of Docker. If you know these things, it's enough to start contributing to Fossil and contact the maintainers. And other than the Fossil, there's the MLH Prep Program. So also you can apply to the MLH Prep Program, and I really like the Prep Program because you get to create. It's the Prep Program is more sort of like a hackathon types. So you basically build projects with a team inside your pod. So that's a really fun experience, and it's again a nice opportunity where you get to work with folks who are passionate about technology just as much as you. So meeting such folks is also amazing. You get to network. So these are the two programs that I would suggest as beginners to apply to.
Okay. Any last keynote, last words you want to say for those who are
Uh,
aspiring for MLH and LFX both?
yeah, I don't think I have any last keynotes. I think it's just a question of how persistent you are. Like, in the sense, if you are asked to sort of understand certain part of a code and it's very big, then how persistent are you? Like, are you gonna sit the entire day, read through code, and understand it? So it really comes down to that. Like, at times when you're starting, some of the projects are really big, and you should be being able to do that. Really helps you, and it sort of portrays also in your application that you are sort of a person who's not afraid of any big commitment or any big bug or something. You are willing to go that extra mile to sort of complete any feature or patch any bug. So I think having that is really important. I think at the end of the day, hard work doesn't go unnoticed. So I think that's the last advice I would give, is that don't give up, and always have that attitude of not giving up, not just about about programs, but also any project that you work on. If you come to a dead end, try not to give up and complete it, no matter how many days it takes, how many hours it takes. So yeah, that also builds your character at the end of the day. So yeah, that's my last keynote.
Okay. Thank you so much, Faisal, for the great introductions to all those two programs. It was an overall idea for me also because I am also a beginner. So I also want to go for those programs. So it was a great session with you, great talk for you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. And I hope there is no question in the chat box, Ayan and Vanshika. If there is any, then let me know, please. Okay. So I think okay. So I think we should stop here. Thank you so much, Faisal, for once again for your time.
Awesome. So I guess again, a shout out to Coders Evoke for setting all this up, and